Today, we're talking about how scientists have basically learned to speak the language of life. They're programming our own biology to create these incredible new medicines.
So what does connect beer, insulin, and the COVID-19 vaccine? It sounds like a trick question, right? But the answer is biotechnology. And look, this is a field that's been around for thousands of years. But what's happening now, it's been supercharged. And it's totally changing the game for our health.
All right, Section 1, Biology as Technology. To really get this, we kind of have to shift how we think. Biology isn't just something you look at under a microscope anymore. No, it's something you can engineer. It's this wild idea that's both super old and, at the same time, completely futuristic.
So here's the official definition. But what does that really mean? Well, think about it like this. We're treating the machinery of life, cells, molecules, the whole shebang, as a kind of programmable tech. We're basically hijacking nature's tiny little factories to build things for us.
And for centuries, that's pretty much all it was. We were using fermentation to make bread and alcohol, right? We were harnessing these natural processes, but we didn't really get what was going on under the hood. But then, something happened in the 20th century. One single breakthrough took this ancient practice and turned it into a full-blown, high-tech revolution.
Okay, let's get into the genetic revolution. This is where we can pinpoint the exact moment that changed everything for medicine. Seriously, this is the dividing line. It's where we stopped just, using nature and started actually programming it.
So check out this timeline. For literally thousands of years, it's a super slow burn. We've got fermentation way back when. Then Fleming discovers penicillin in 1928, which was kind of a lucky break. But then, look at 1973. Wham! Everything just takes off. The invention of recombinant DNA technology, that wasn't just another step on the ladder. No way. That was the spark that lit the whole fuse.
And this is the key. You see that quote? It's all about being able to manipulate genetic material. For the first time ever, we could give a living thing a whole new set of instructions. It's like we could hand a simple little bacterium the blueprint for a complex human protein and just say, hey, make this. It was a total game changer.
So yeah, you can think of it as cut and paste for the code of life. But this wasn't just one new tool. It was like someone handed us the keys to an entire workshop, a workshop for building brand new medicines, literally from the ground up.
All right, Section 3, inside the biotech toolbox. So this cut and paste stuff sounds cool, but how does it actually work? How do you really go from one little gene to a drug that can be made for millions of people?
Okay, so it's this really clever four-step process. First, you've got to find and isolate the human gene you want, let's say the one for insulin. Then, you paste that gene into the DNA of something simple, like E. coli bacteria. After that, you just grow it. You put these modified bacteria in big vats and let them multiply like crazy. Finally, you just collect what they've made, the human protein, and purify it. It's pretty much industrial manufacturing, just on a crazy small scale.
So the toolbox has some key players. Recombinant DNA, that's your cut and paste. But it doesn't work alone. You've also got PCR, which is basically a DNA photocopier. It's super important for finding and making millions of copies of the exact gene you need. Then there's stuff like hybridoma technology, a fancy name for a method that lets us create these super specific magic bullets called monoclonal antibodies. We'll get to those in a second. The point is, all these tools work together.
And this is where it all comes together. Section 4. Medicine's modern miracles. Because all this amazing tech, it didn't just stay in a lab. It led to drugs that have totally changed how we fight some of our toughest diseases.
Let's start with diabetes. Before biotech, this was a huge problem. The only insulin available came from pigs and cows. It worked, kinda, but it wasn't a perfect match for the human body. People could have really bad allergic reactions, it was inefficient, and it was a real issue. And here's the biotech solution. Using those recombinant proteins we talked about, we could program bacteria to make perfect human insulin. Pure, consistent, no allergic reactions. It solved the problem almost overnight. And it's not just insulin. The same idea gives us things like human growth hormone, or erythropoietin, which helps people with kidney disease make more red blood cells. Okay, but what about even tougher diseases? I'm talking about things like cancer or autoimmune disorders. Here, the enemy is, well, it's us. Our own cells are malfunctioning. So how do you fight that? A normal drug is like a bomb. It hits the bad guys, but it causes a ton of collateral damage to healthy cells too.
This is where those magic bullets come in. Monoclonal antibodies are the biotech solution.
They're like these tiny programmable guided missiles. We can design them to hunt for one very specific thing, like a little flag that only shows up on a cancer cell. They lock on and they take it out, leaving all the healthy cells around it totally alone. That right there is precision medicine.
All right, now let's talk about pandemics. The problem is simple. Traditional vaccines take forever to make. You often had to grow the actual virus, weaken it. It was a slow, clunky process. And when a new threat is sweeping the globe, you just don't have that kind of time.
And this is where advanced vaccines, the biotech solution, really shone. Think about the COVID-19 vaccines. Instead of putting a weakened virus into your body, an mRNA vaccine just gives your cells a set of instructions, a little piece of genetic code. Your own cells then build a harmless piece of the virus spike protein. Your immune system sees it, learns to recognize it, and builds up a defense. It's like we're giving our bodies the enemy's playbook so we're ready for the real fight without ever facing any actual danger.
So, let's look at rewriting the future. I mean, these breakthroughs are mind-blowing for sure. But here's the thing. We're really just getting started. This is only the first chapter.
Just look at the shift that's happening. In the past, medicine was one size fits all. You got a drug designed for the average person. But now, we're moving into personalized medicine. We can create therapies that are tailored to your specific genetic makeup. We're going from just reacting to diseases to being able to predict and prevent it.
And that brings us to the ultimate goal, really, gene therapy. Think about it. Instead of just treating the symptoms of a genetic disease, like giving insulin to a diabetic, what if we could go in and fix the broken gene that causes the problem in the first place? We're talking about correcting the error right at the source. That's not just a treatment, that's potentially a cure.
So now we can edit the code of life. When you think about where this all started, with fermenting beer, and where it's headed with gene editing, it's just incredible. It's the story of us learning to speak, and now write, the language of our own biology. It keeps redefining what we thought was possible, which leaves us with a pretty huge question to think about, right? As we get better and better at this, what's next for human health?